Today I'm going to show you how to make simple multiplayer games in Gdevelop 5 and this multiplayer game can be played on two desktop PCs. Let me demonstrate it to you. So let me open a preview in two windows. So two previews are opening in two windows. I will select the first window and join in a lobby, start game. And now you can see that my game has started in the first window. In the second window, I will again join the game and join game. And you can see that I have joined the game which was running in the first window. And now I can control my tank from the second window. So that is how a multiplayer game works in Gdevelop. And you can play this in different browsers. So let us have a look at the code. So as you can see, first of all, let us discuss the scene objects. I have a tank one. Tank 1 is a tank sprite which you can get from the internet. I got it from craftpix.net. The behaviors on tank 1 are fire bullet. You don't have to put this behavior yet because I haven't programmed it yet. It's not important for the multiplayer functionality. The important behavior is the multiplayer object and the player owning the object is 1. The second important one is the top-down movement in order to control the tank. In top-down movement, you may have to adjust the angle offset in order to make the sprite move properly, move in the right direction. And yeah, these two are the important ones. I added the top-down multi-touch controller, but it was not working, so this is not important. But these two, multiplayer object and top-down movement, are important behaviors. To add a behavior, you can just go to add a behavior and just type the name of your behavior, and you can click it to add it. I have already added it, so it is saying here that already added. And top-down movement also you can add. I have already added it, this one, so it is saying already added. Right. I have tank 2 also. I have different sprite for tank 2. In behavior, again, multiplayer object. Player on the object is 2 this time. And top-down movement, in which again I have to adjust the angle offset. You may have to adjust it in some different way, not just 90 degree, maybe 45. Could be anything, it depends on your sprite. I can have a tiled sprite, which is just a tile of a ground. And how do you create a tiled sprite? Just go to add a new object, go to tiled sprite, and then here you can select a tiled sprite image. I got mine from craftpix.net. You can get it from there. So I will delete it. Right. I have a tree sprite, just a simple sprite of a dried tree. I have placed it here in the stage. I have a stone, okay, which is a simple sprite. And how do you create simple sprites? Just go to add a new object and click on sprite. And here you can import images, import some sprite image, and they will be imported here. Sprites don't have any behavior. Tile also does not have any behavior. I will delete it. Now I have player 1 joystick, player 2 joystick. I am not discussing them because right now they are not working. And I wanted to add them for a mobile version of the game, but that is under progress right now. We are just discussing for the desktop version. So this was about the scene objects that we have, and I do not have any global objects. I also do not have any global variables. There are no global variables, so we don't have to worry about them. Now we'll go to the code. So the code is here, and what I do at the beginning of the scene, at the beginning of the scene. I open the game lobbies, right? And after opening the game lobby, I create the tank one object at a random position. So I select tank one and then I go to create an object and then I write a random exposition which should be between 0 and the maximum screen height, and actually it should be screen width, so that will be better. It is screen width. So let us make that change, right. So it should be between 0 and screen width, and the same way Y position should be 0 and between 0 and screen height. And I'm adding this object to game layer, which is a new layer that I have created. So in my layer, I have the base layer and then game layer that I made. You can make a new layer by clicking on add layer. Since I don't need it, I will just delete. Anyway, so that's the first action that is happening. And then I have a condition player one has joined. So I'm checking if player has joined and if the player number is one, then what will happen? Within this condition, we have two more conditions. First condition, the number of tanks. How many tanks are there on the screen? I select tank. I select number of object instances on the scene and I say that if it is equal to 0, that is there are no tanks. Then I create a tank and change the ownership of the tank 1 to player 1. Creating the tank is done in the same way. Select tank 1, select create an object and then select a position and select a layer. And then to change the ownership of the tank 1 to player 1, just select tank 1 and search for player object ownership and then set the ownership to player 1. Now I'm checking the device as touch screen. This condition is really not important because we are currently not talking about touch screen devices. We are just saying how the game works in desktops. And now the second main condition is that if player 2 has joined, I check whether player has joined and if the player number is 2, what I will do is I will create tank 2, select tank 2, select create an object and then select a random X and Y position on the game layer and create the tank 2 object. And I will also change the ownership of the tank to the player number 2. So select tank 2, select player object ownership and set the ownership to player number 2. Right. And again the touch screen. Touch screen we are not discussing right now, so let's not talk about that. Right. So this is how the game is working. This is how the game is able to share the sprites and their movement and share the objects between two different computers. So I was not able to demonstrate it in two different computers, but this is how it will actually work if the players are sitting on different computers. So yeah, that's how you can get started on creating a multiplayer game in Gdevelop 5.